hit the button once. I thought I started to record somehow. Okay. So in the 10th chapter, he is going to speak about his opulences. And why is he going to speak about his opulences? That's because in the 9th chapter, at the end of the 9th chapter, what we learn? Anybody?
Manmana bhav madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskaru. So you'll come to me if you're totally absorbed in me.
Hmm. Quote the whole verse.
Uh, I try to remember. Manmana bhav madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskaru mam eva ishyasi yuktava evam. Sorry.
Atmanam
Atmanam parayana.
mat
Yeah.
parayana.
Mat parayana.
So you always worship me, offer obeisances to me, bow down before me. And by doing so, you'll always remember me. That's what he said. Now he has told the theory part of it, like in the sense, like this is what you have to do. Now he's going to tell how you can become like that, how you can always think about me, worship me, think of me, obeisances to me. So something that for you to grasp from the unit, because to think about Krishna sometimes might be we need to separately think, or because it's not very natural to us. So then we have to exclusively do that. In other ways, when you see some things that are around us in the universe, if we see that, then also you should give us the remembrance of Krishna. Right? So this is what he is going to tell, how to think about him constantly. So before he goes into the details of his opulences, so 9th chapter was mostly was like what to do. You should do like this, you should do that way, this way, he says. In the 10th chapter, he's going to speak how you can do it, like by looking at what, by thinking of, by seeing some, because naturally we are in the world, we see many things around us. So when Krishna speaks about his opulences, he's picking up from the universe only, what we see around. Then he should immediately strike the remembrance of Krishna. That's what he's trying to tell us. So this meant, I haven't put the slide here, but I'll just tell you. The 10th chapter has got 4 sections. 1 to 7 verses talk about the knowing that Krishna is unknowable. Krishna is unknowable because how many, we'll get into details. So that is unknowable. Knowing Krishna, the unknowable, the source of all. That's 1 to 7. 8 to 11 is where Krishna speaks about the essence of Gita again. Like we know, there are seed verses of Bhagavad Gita. That's what pure bhakti, essence of Bhagavad Gita. That is the section. Then 12 to 18, where Arjuna speaks something. Because after hearing so much so far from Krishna, all the 9 chapters and the 10th chapter up until now, Arjuna has this flash of realization and he says some words, some prayers to Krishna. So he will glorify Krishna. So 12 to 18. Followed by that, Krishna speaks about his vibhutis, which are his opulences. 19 to end of the chapter. So he will only speak few, because how much can he speak about his glories, right? Like, he is unlimited, and we have only limited here what we have in these verses. So at the end, he'll say, what am I, how much can I speak? These are just a spark of my energies. They are unlimited, but only know that everything that here is just a spark of my vibhutis. So that's why he concludes this section, this chapter. So going into the first section, which is about the knowing the unknowable and the source of all. So he speaks the mysteries of himself, like how he is mysterious, um, and how not everyone will know about him because he is that unknowable also. What is a qualification that we need to know about Krishna?
Devotional service with love.
Yeah, we need the love to look at him, or the devotion within our eyes to see. And also Krishna, its mercy is also required to understand. And all that starts with the hearing process, right? Like this hearing process has been glorified so much in the entire Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, because that's the starting point. We hear so much, but we need to hear the right things. And right to know about Krishna is to hear about him. So when we hear about him, even though this particular part of the chapters are part of the Bhakti section, it talks about Krishna's Aishwaryas mostly because he's talking about his energies, the essence of the energies, and how he is universally situated and what are his opulences. This is mostly his Aishwarya, right? Even the chapter name is opulence. It is not pure bhakti in the sense. But how do you get pure bhakti if you don't know his greatness? First, we need to know his greatness, then we can understand the sweetness of Krishna. By knowing his greatness, then we automatically become drawn to him, become attracted. And knowing something and the opulent level is mostly to do with the mind. Like you are gaining information, knowledge. It's mostly about the mind, knowledge. And when we understand that bhakti process begins with the emotions, right? When only then bhakti begins. So to churn the emotions, what do we need to know? We need to know the greatness of that person. Oh wow, he's such a great person. Then only emotions become churned. Otherwise, we will not have that because there's so much that is there. And how do we even have emotion to someone? Because we love them. That is because we know that they are great in some way. They are dear to us. They are sweet. They are beautiful, whatever. Like that's how we love someone, right? Like even within our family members, we know them, they are our family members, but they have a special aspect. There is a special thing that attracts us in their personality. So that is because we know about. Otherwise, how can we know anybody? Right? Even if you look at the friends, you like your friends because you like something about them, because you have heard about them. So same thing. So unless we know about Krishna's greatness, it's hard to generate that bhakti, that sweetness aspect to manifest. There are many people who are like directly bhaktas because they have done a lot of devotional service in their previous lives. And they have come to this stage where as soon as they hear one sentence about Krishna, their hearts churn. So that is a special category, right? Because they have made so much of devotional service because this is life after life after life. It's not like one lifetime this where we are sitting here and reading. You also would have a lot of devotional service that you have done from your previous lives. Then only we have come to this stage to make it further progress. The progress is progressive, right? That's why it's called progress. You build upon it. So you're making progress because you're moving life after life. And this one lifetime also we can make a lot of devotional service. And Krishna also says in last few chapters that this devotional service is very rare and very few people go to that last stage. But it is not that to become disheartened in anything, because Krishna gives a lot of assurances also. I'll protect what you have and I'll carry what you lack and preserve what you have, so that you just come to him. Make choice to go only to him rather than to anywhere else. That way you're building and becoming more condensed in your devotion. Like that's how the pure devotional service is, like the condensed milk, which is sweeter and thicker. So this is a building process. So we need to keep building the process. So in this section, he talks about not everyone knows about his opulence. And that's where he starts. Let's go into the verses. Shri Bhagavanuvacha. Debbie, please read. Bhuya eva mahabaho.
Shri Bhagavanuvacha Bhuya eva mahabaho
Shunu me paramam vachaha.
Shruni me paramam vachaha
Yatteham priyamanaya.
Yatteham priyamanaya
Pakshyami hitakamyaya.
Vakshami hitakamaya.
Please read I'll read the translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Listen again, O mighty armed Arjuna. Because of you are my dear friend, for your benefit, I shall speak to you further, giving knowledge that is better than what I have already explained." Yeah, please read the.
The
Yeah.
word Bhagavan is explained thus by Parashara Muni, one who is full in six opulences, who has full strength, full of fame, wealth, knowledge, beauty, and renunciation. It's Bhagavan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. While Krishna was present on this earth, he displayed all six opulences. Therefore, great sages like Parashara Muni have all accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, Krishna is instructing Arjuna in more confidential knowledge of his opulences and his work. Previously, beginning with the 7th chapter, the Lord has already explained his different energies and how they are acting. Now, in this chapter, he explains his specific opulences to Arjuna. In the previous chapter, he had clearly explained his different energies to establish devotion and firm conviction. Again, in this chapter, he tells Arjuna about his manifestations and various opulences. The more one hears about the Supreme Lord, the more one becomes fixed in devotional service. One should always hear about the Lord in the association of devotees. That will enhance one's devotional service. Discourses in the society of devotees can take place only among those who are really anxious to be in Krishna consciousness. Others cannot take part in such discourses. The Lord clearly tells Arjuna that because Arjuna is very dear to him, for his benefit, such discourses are taking place.
Yeah, the key here is in the association of devotees. We should hear Krishna Katha in the association of devotees. Because other places there won't be Krishna Katha, only in the association we have. And Arjuna is getting that from Krishna directly. Here in the beginning of this purport, Prabhupada explains about the Bhagavan, because Bhagavan is speaking. Now we'll take time to describe what is the Bhagavan. Parasara Muni has explained the 6 opulences of Bhagavan. Anybody knows? It's already here. One who has full strength, full fame, full wealth, knowledge, beauty, and renunciation is Bhagavan. Everything is in topmost opulence, complete. So Krishna has displayed all these 6 opulences. And Parasara Muni has accepted Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now Krishna is saying, Arjuna, here my more confidential opulences. These are my opulences. Hear them in more detail. We discussed that in the 7th and 8th chapters, 9 chapters also. Krishna has already spoken some of it. He is going to speak different aspects in a little more greater detail. Can anybody give examples of how Krishna's fame, wealth, how we can describe him in this fame, wealth, knowledge, beauty, and renunciation examples?
For wealth, Mataji, I can give the example that he had 16,108 wives. He had palaces for each of them, so that demonstrates he's full of it. There was no limit. They were very, very luxurious homes. I think Lalitangi Mataji described it. It was like marble. It was very, very lavish, and so there's no limit. No one else could they have 16,108 palaces. The Lord, he can even have more than that. So that's a demonstration of wealth.
Okay. Wealth about his palaces. And what about the palaces on this earth? He has, okay, we are talking about Krishna who was present on the earth. Okay.
Yeah.
Continue. Other?
I can
Go ahead.
talk about strength, Mataji. When he killed all the asuras, Shaktaskar, when he was only a few months old, Aghasur, Vyamasur, so that was strength displayed.
Sure. Yeah. Fame?
Hare Krishna, Mataji, can I add?
Yes, yes.
Mataji, I feel that, I'm sorry if this sounds elementary, but I feel that many times when a lot of people, when they go to the temple, right? Yes, of course, most of them are devotees, most of them are also pure devotees, I would say, but a majority of them, they might not be able to put their finger on, he's beautiful, he's very strong, he has fame, but it's because of those reasons that when they see the deity, they get so enamored. So that is also evidence of all of his opulences, that people come to the temple and they get fixated and they look at him and they see all his opulences. I mean, it's at least in daily life, that's how I see it.
Yeah, sure. Why not? How many people have temples and how many people go to those temples, right?
Yes.
Krishna has temples and his expansions, and some demigods have, and people go because they're getting something from that. Fame? Okay, anyone else raise their hands? See?
Well, I tell Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Like you can see, like even till today, we are reading what Krishna's told, Bhagavad
Right.
Gita. So he's so famous across the world, and so many scientists, all the Western scientists also, forget about the Eastern, we worship Bhagavad Gita, but even great scientists, they glorified uh, the teachings of Krishna, and he's so famous.
And we also celebrate his birthday. How many people come to his birthday celebrations?
Oh
Yeah.
yes, that's very special. And I heard actually this New Year celebration started by seeing Krishnastami, because Krishnastami we celebrate in the middle of the night, Aarti and all. So when the Britishers were there in India, there was kind of astonished. Oh, they're celebrating in the midnight, and it seems that is how the New Year celebrations of 31st December and January 1st started.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we wake up till 12 till on Janmashtami, and so many people throng the temple, thousands and thousands all over the world. So he's very famous like that. Knowledge is giving Bhagavad Gita. Nowhere else, the scriptures, all the scriptures, even Bhagavatam is not by Krishna directly, right? Is not spoken in Bhagavatam much. His devotees are speaking. Bhagavad Gita is the only scripture where Krishna, the God gives the knowledge. No other scripture. Either Krishna, God's associates or God's servants or God's devotees are speaking, but God himself is speaking is only Bhagavad Gita, anywhere in the world, entire world. So that way his knowledge is far out, like what we are reading now. Nobody can give such knowledge. Beauty is very beautiful. And then, yeah, he's always looking like 16-year-old, right? He's very beautiful. Even though at the time of Kurukshetra war, how old was Krishna? Anybody guess?
Was he 126,
120.
Mataji? He was in the hundreds, I think.
125, Mataji.
126.
I think he lived on the earth for 125 or 30 years.
Okay.
Kurukshetra war happened about 36 years prior to that. So he was around the 90s.
In his 90s, okay.
At that time. And he looks like a 16-year-old, Navayabbanam. Shama Sundara is always Navayabban, 16 years. So he's beautiful. And renunciation. Any examples for renunciation? Yes?
Can I give the example, Mataji, that gopis and so many individuals were in love with Krishna, but he himself also, he left Vrindavan to go to Mathura. So he was renounced even when there's so much attachment. So that's like where he's unbothered even in a sense, because for us sometimes it's so hard to be separated from our family and our friends who are so attached with the Lord. He himself can detach from them.
Other examples? Yeah, Heshita? Yeah, Kanika.
Yeah, Mataji, like for renunciation, I feel that, Bhagwan, he's Bhakt Vatsal. He loves all of his devotees so much, but despite that, he wraps his Leela up and then goes to his heavenly abode after setting an example. So I feel that also he's there with us in our heart. He makes sure he's there as Super Soul, but he's renunciate enough to just wrap his Leela and go to his heavenly abode.
Thanks. Heshita?
Yes, Mataji. So, like, he was ready to become a chariot driver for Arjuna. So, that showed like renunciation.
Yeah. Krish Prabhu? Did you put your hand up, Krish Prabhu? Narayan Prabhu? Yes.
Hare Krishna Mataji, sorry, my mute was not making me talk. Okay, the Lord is in everybody's heart, and then He has the ability to like make us work according to His wish, but still He is neutral.
It's very, very, yeah. He'll even to Arjuna, he spoke entire Bhagavad Gita. He'll at the end say, "Do what you like. I've given you everything."
He's not taking control over and make us work on that. Yeah.
Yes, Narayan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. I think a nice example of renunciation is where the where it includes Sudama, when Sudama had left and he didn't have anything to eat and he went to Krishna's palace. And then Krishna took the puff rice, and when he ate the first hand, second hand, like that, he was willing to give it up just for the devotee.
He was eating the puff rice. So he's
Yeah,
used to eating opulent food, but he didn't. He also cherished eating the puff rice. You mean to say that?
yeah, that's it, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And remember, with every mouthful he ate, he was giving Sudama so much of like gold, and I think with house and stuff like that, because he didn't have anything to eat, right? And he
Oh.
had went to Krishna.
Right. Yeah, he was repaying his devotee for everything. Yeah. Palak?
So opposite, like he has these other five qualities, all strength, fame, wealth, knowledge, beauty, and he's still not attached to those qualities. He can easily give it up, and he's not attached to his wealth. I think that's another thing that comes to my mind.
Yeah. And also the 16,108 wives that he had, each one, each one, he made sure that he was like almost in Prabhupada purports, it described like he was behaving as a henpecked husband. And each wife was thinking, oh, Krishna is only attached to me, no one else. So he's what? So because he's doing so many things in each household, that everyone thought that only Krishna does it like this here, nowhere else. And each one was thinking they are they have made sure that they could, keep them under his control, their control. But Krishna only knows he's very detached, even though he's like that, behaving to set an example, but he's very detached from within his heart. The queens were thinking that he's attached to us, we have made him under our control, but no, he was not. He could easily give up and go away anywhere. Like, for months and months, he used to go to his friend's place in Hastinapur and other places to set things right and, wars and whatnot. And one other example that comes to my mind about the renunciation is after fighting 18 times Jarasandh, 17 times, how many times? 17 times he fought, right? 16 times he fought Jarasandh, or probably 17 times he fought Jarasandh. The last time, so every time he chased Jarasandh away by, defeating him so badly that he had to run away, basically. But he didn't kill him. The last time around, Jarasandh came again with his armies so much. But then what did Krishna do at that time?
He left.
He didn't chase him.
Yeah.
He didn't make him run, but he himself ran away from the battle. How can it be? Like, you are winning every year, say some titles like Best Employee Award, for example. You get year after year. You're getting it year after year. 1 year, will you give it up? Even if it can come to you, will you give it up? It's very hard, right? It's very hard to give up. Krishna could give it up. 18 times, 17 times he fought and he chased the enemy away. But the last time he chose to run away himself. So that, and he gets his name as, anybody knows that name? Very nice name.
Ranchor.
Ranchor. Yes. Because he's running away from a battle. Run is battle and he runs away from battle is Ranchor. So he gets that name also. So he doesn't mind getting that name. So he's very renunciate. He doesn't mind. Because for him, these are all just some ordinary things. Just he's enjoying however he does. Either he beats him on the battle or runs away, he's enjoying. So like that. So we need to know about Krishna, to know more about him, to his heart, his thoughts, how he thinks, and how we can serve him in the way that he likes. So that's what we should be thinking, so that we can understand and we can develop these emotions to him. Okay, next second verse. Naranaran Prabhu, you can repeat.
Hare Krishna.
Name vidu suraganaha
Nami vido suragana
prabhavam nama harshayaha
prabhavam na maharsaya
Ahamadirhi Devanam
Aham Adarhi Devanam
Maharshinam Cha Sarvashaha.
Maharshinam Cha Sarvasa.
Translation: Neither the host of demigods nor the great sages know my origin or opulences. For in every respect, I am the source of the demigods and sages. Please read Prabhupada purport.
Hare Krishna Prabhupada. Purport by His Divine Grace, Jai Shri Prabhupada. As stated in the Brahma Samhita, Lord Krishna is the Supreme Lord. No one is greater than him. He is the cause of all causes. Here it is also stated that by the Lord personally, that he is the cause of all the demigods and sages. Even the demigods and great sages cannot understand Krishna. They can understand neither his name nor his personality. So, what is the position of the so called scholars of this tiny planet? No one can understand why this supreme God comes to earth as an ordinary human being and executes such wonderful, uncommon activities. One should know then that scholarship is not the qualification necessary to understand Krishna. Even the demigods and the great sages have tried to understand Krishna by their mental speculation, and they have failed to do so. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, also, it is clearly said that even the great demigods are not able to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They can speculate to the limits of their imperfect senses and can reach the opposite conclusion of impersonalism, of something not manifested by the three qualities of material nature, or they can imagine something by mental speculation. But it is not possible to understand Krishna by such foolish speculation. Here the Lord indirectly says that if anyone wants to know the absolute truth, here I am present as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I am the Supreme. One should know this. Although one cannot understand the inconceivable Lord who is personally present, he nonetheless exists. He nonetheless exists. We can actually understand Krishna, who is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge, simply by studying his words in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. The conception of God as some ruling power or as impersonal Brahman can be achieved by persons who are in the inferior energy of the Lord. But the personality of Godhead cannot be conceived unless one is in the transcendental position. Because most men cannot understand Krishna in his actual situation, out of his causeless mercy, he descends to show favor to such speculators. Yet, despite the Supreme Lord's uncommon activities, these speculators, due to contamination in the material energy, still think that the impersonal Brahman is the Supreme. Only the devotees who are fully surrendered unto the Supreme Lord can understand, by the grace of the Supreme Personality, that he is Krishna. The devotees of the Lord do not bother by the impersonal Brahman conception of God. Their faith and devotion bring them to surrender immediately unto the Supreme Lord. And out of the causeless mercy of Krishna, they can understand Krishna. No one else can understand him. So even the great sages agree. What is Atma? What is the Supreme? It is he who we have to worship.
So here it said that most of demigods or the great sages, they know my origin or opulence, but in every respect I am the source of the demigods and sages. Prabhupada elaborates on what exactly this means. So even the demigods and the sages, if they approach Krishna by the mental spec or by their mind, to understand him by their intelligence, in the sense like, to know him by their speculation, approaching them not with the heart but with the mind, then they will not reach. They will probably go to, oh, is impersonal, because they cannot understand his as a person. They cannot understand, so they make him as impersonal. So what have they understood, right? So understanding Krishna is not possible if you approach it by you're on the strength of your mind or intelligence. So that is what it means. Prabhupada is expanding. What does it mean? Neither the host of demigod nor great. That means no demigod, no great sages know about him. They don't know, but it is not that they know everything about him. It's not possible for everyone to know everything about Krishna. And what to speak if they approach him in a very with the mindset rather than with the approach of emotions or with the heart. So they will only get that much. It's because the senses are imperfect. With the imperfect senses, what can be achieved, right? So that is what it is said. When these great sages, not the demigods, can know about his origin and opulence. Whereas Krishna is a soul. That is where this section is talking about knowing the unknowable. He is unknowable because in Bhagavad Gita 7.3 also is said, Manushanam sahasreshu kaschidedati siddhike tatamapi siddhanam kaschid mamyapti tatvati. Very hardly few people know about me. It's not like everyone knows about him completely, right? So that is the point. So we need to approach him by reading his words, by studying his words in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Then we will know some about him, slowly and surely. Next verse is Krish Keshavan Prabhu. Yo mamajam anadim cha
Yo mam ajam anindim cha anadim cha
Vettiloka Maheshwaram
vettiloka maheshwaram
Asammoda Samateshu
asammuda samatreshu
Sarva Papai Pramuchate.
sarva papaihi pramuchyate.
Translation. He who knows me as the unborn, as the beginningless, as the supreme of all the lords, he only undiluted among men is freed from all sins. Please read. Okay, already. Please read the purport.
Yes, Mataji. As stated in the seventh chapter, 7.3, Manushyanam Sahasreshu Kaschid Yatati Siddhaye, those who are trying to elevate themselves to the platform of spiritual realization are not ordinary men. They are superior to millions and millions of ordinary men who have no knowledge of spiritual realization. But out of those actually trying to understand their spiritual situation, one can come to understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. The proprietor of everything, the unborn, is the most successful spiritually realized person. In that stage only, when one has fully understood Krishna's supreme position, can one be free completely from all sinful reactions. Here the Lord is described by the word Aja, meaning unborn, but he is distinct from the living entities who are described in the second chapter as Aja. The Lord is different from the living entities who are taking birth and dying due to material attachment. The conditioned souls are changing their bodies, but his body is not changeable. Even when he comes to this material world, he comes as the same unborn. Therefore, the fourth chapter, it is said that the Lord, by his internal potency, is not under the inferior material energy, but is always the superior energy. In this verse, the word Vettiloka Maheshwaram indicate that one should know that Lord Krishna is the supreme proprietor of the planetary systems of the universe. He was existing before the creation and he is different from his creation. All the demigods were created within this material world, but as far as Krishna is concerned, it is said that he is not created. Therefore, Krishna is different even from the great demigods like Brahma and Shiva. And because he is the creator of Brahma, Shiva, and all other demigods, he is the supreme person of all planets. Sri Krishna is therefore different from everything that is created. And if anyone who knows him as such immediately becomes liberated from all sinful reactions. One must be liberated from all sinful activities to be in the knowledge of Supreme Lord. Only by devotional service can he be known and not by any other means, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita. One should not try to understand Krishna as a human being. As stated previously, only a foolish person thinks him to be a human being. This is again expressed here in a different way. A man who is not foolish, who is intelligent enough to understand the constitutional position of the Godhead, is always free from all sinful reactions. If Krishna is known as the son of Devaki, then how he can be unborn? That is also explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. When he appeared before Devaki and Vasudeva, he was not born as an ordinary child. He appeared in his original form, and then he transformed himself into an ordinary child. Anything done under the direction of Krishna is transcendental. It cannot be contaminated by material reactions, which may be auspicious or inauspicious. The conception that there are things auspicious and inauspicious in material world is more or less a mental concoction, because there is nothing auspicious in the material world. Everything is inauspicious because the very material nature is inauspicious. We simply imagine it to be auspicious. Real auspiciousness depends on activities in Krishna consciousness in full devotion and service. Therefore, if we at all want our activities to be auspicious, then we should work under the direction of the Supreme Lord. Such directions are given in authoritative scriptures such as Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, or from a bona fide spiritual master. Because the spiritual master is representative of the Supreme Lord, his directions is directly the direction of the Supreme Lord. The spiritual master, saintly persons, and scriptures direct the same way. There is no contradiction in these three sources. All actions done under such direction are free from the reactions of pious or impious activities of the material world. The transcendental attitude of the devotee in the performance of activities is actually that of renunciation. And this is called sannyasa. As stated in the first verse of the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, one who acts as a matter of duty because he has been ordered to do so by the Supreme Lord, and who does not seek shelter in the fruits of his activities, anasritaha karma phalam, is a true renuncier. Anyone acting under the direction of the Supreme Lord is actually sannyasi and a yogi, and not the man who has simply taken the dress of the sannyasi or a pseudo yogi. Thank you, Mataji.
So, the purport to what Krishna is saying: he who knows me as unborn, as beginningless, as Supreme Lord of all lords, he only undiluted among men is freed from all sins. So, Prabhupada has quoted already the 7.3 verse, which is Manushanam Sahasreshu. What is the meaning of that? Out of thousands among men, very few people come to me. And out of those who have come to me, hardly one knows me in truth. Manushanam Sahasreshu kaschit irati siddhaya tatamapi siddhanam kaschin mam vetti tatvatah. Only few know me in truth as it is to be known. Now, the people who know him in truth have become already what? Because they have given up all the sinful activities. And that is also quoted in which verse? In 7:28. Prabhupada is talking about that here in some of the places he spoke. As stated, yeah, this one. Liberated from sinful reactions, because one must be liberated from all sinful reactions to be in knowledge of the Supreme. It's not possible to be committing sins or being sinfully situated and also knowing Krishna. These are not parallel tracks. They can never be parallel tracks. So one who is rare has already gone to that stage, who has given up all his sins and come to that knowledge state. And that verse is, anybody? 7:28. Esham antagatam prapam jananam punyakarmanaha tedvanva moha nirmukva bhajante mam drid vrataha. One who has given up all the sinful activities and firmly situated and in knowledge will be firmly situated in the devotional service. from previous lives, who has given up all his sinful activities. So this, the rarity and giving and free from sinful life, they go together. And that people are rare. And those who are situated in that way, he knows, he is undiluted. Because there cannot be, even Krishna is unborn, he will understand that. For ordinary people's side, it may appear that Krishna has appeared from the womb of Devaki in Mathura. How is that he is unborn? Because when he was not born like an ordinary child. He appeared. And he's also beginningless. Beginningless is, even after the dissolution, we have heard, like, even after the dissolution of this entire universe, the living entities get submerged into the body of Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu is who? Is a expansion of the expansion of the expansion of Krishna. Right? It is not like Krishna himself. It is a person who is doing the duties for the universal execution, manifestation of the universe. So Krishna is eternally existing. So to know that, one has to come to that stage of becoming undiluted and becoming free. Then he will know what Krishna's position is. So we are all trying to know in some aspect. So if we continue on this path, then we are on the right track. Okay, so this is Krishna speaking about his unknowability, this is not when we had Bhagavad Gita as it is, right? Krishna is speaking to give a context as to when it is, when it was spoken, how the things are now. Because we have Bhagavad Gita as it is, this point has been made clear right from the beginning. Why do we need to know about it now? We may get that point in our heads sometimes. We already know that Krishna is the Supreme. I am not going to contest it. Why is Krishna speaking it again over here? Just because we need to hear it repeatedly. Yes, sometimes messages in Bhagavad Gita can appear to be repeated. Krishna speaks in different contexts. That is because we need to hear it repeatedly. Because even after repeatedly hearing, we forget, right? Like, how much have we remembered from the chapter 1 today? Because of repetition only, we understand, oh yeah, we have heard this a little bit somewhere. So it means at this important point that we need to keep it repeatedly hearing it. Yeah, so, and also Krishna, Prabhupada speaks about the 6th chapter verses, which talks about karma sannyas. So if any person can become a sannyas, we don't have to change our robes, neither our constitutional positions. All we have to have that mindset, have a sannyasi mindset. So giving up the results, for karma palat, anashrita karma phalam. Karma is work, phalam is the result. Anashrita is I'm desiring, not seeking the results of the work. So he's a true realization that anybody can be. We don't have to have a robe to do that. Right? We all can become a anashrita karma phalam. We can give up the results of our activities. It doesn't have to change anything from our constitutional position. That is why this devotional service this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommends. Like, wherever you are, don't change anything. Any situation, neither social order nor any situation, just do wherever you are, add devotional service and follow these principles. Then you are perfect. That's the perfection of life. That's where the devotional service begins. We have went through that verse, 10:14:3 verse that we spoke about a couple of sessions back, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Ramananda Rai, what is that the essence of things? Ramananda Rai keeps giving a lot of information from this scripture, that scripture. Mahaprabhu says, no, aage kaho aar. Oh, keep further going. No, I don't think this is it. This is not it yet. Keep going further. Then he quotes that verse. We read about that, 10:14:3. Jnane prayasamudapastena mantrayeva. So that verse is wherever you are, just do with your body, mind, and in the words, do the devotional service by giving up mental speculation and philosophical understanding. Offer all your words, mind, and the activities to the Lord by doing devotional service. So that's what it is. So it begins there. We don't have to change anything. We just have to give up that mindset of it all belongs to me and I am the owner. If we can give that up and do, then we are rightly situated. And from there, the progress happens. That's the starting point. Okay. There are two verses. This talks about the various qualities. So let's go through 4 and 5. Palak, you can repeat after me, please.
Yes, Mataji.
Buddhirjnanam asamohaha.
Buddhirjnanam asamoha.
Shama satyam dama shamaha.
Shama satyam dama samaha.
Sukham dukkam bhava bhavo.
Sukham dukham bhavo bhavo.
Bhayam chabhyam evacha.
Bhayam chabhyam eva cha. Chabhyam eva cha. Sorry.
Ahimsa samata tushtis.
Ahimsa samata tushtis.
Tapodanam yasho yashaha.
Tapodanam yasho yashaha.
Bhavanti bhava bhutanam.
Bhavanti bhava bhutanam.
Matta eva pritagvidaha.
Mata eva pritagvidaha.
Intelligence, knowledge, freedom from doubt and delusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, control of the senses, control of the mind, happiness and distress, birth, death, fear, fearlessness, non-violence, equanimity, satisfaction, austerity, charity, fame, and infamy. All these various qualities of living beings are created by me alone. Krishna is speaking about the qualities that he has created. Please read.
The different qualities of living entities, be they good or bad, are all created by Krishna, and they are described here. Intelligence refers to the power of a power to analyze things in their proper perspective, and knowledge refers to the understanding what is spirit and what is matter. Ordinary knowledge obtained by university education pertains only to matter, and it is not accepted here as knowledge. Knowledge means knowing the distinction between spirit and matter. In modern education, there is no knowledge about spirit. They are simply taking care of the material elements and bodily needs. Therefore, academic knowledge is not complete. Asamoha, freedom from doubt and delusion, can be achieved when one is not hesitant and when he understands the transcendental philosophy. Slowly but surely, he becomes free from bewilderment. Nothing should be accepted blindly. Everything should be accepted with care and with caution. Shama, tolerance and forgiveness should be practiced. One should be tolerant and excuse the minor offenses of others. Satyam, truthfulness, means that facts should be presented as they are for the benefit of others. Facts should not be misrepresented. According to social conventions, it is said that one can speak the truth only when it is palatable to others, but that is not truthfulness. The truth should be spoken in the straightforward way so that others will understand actually what the facts are. If a man is a thief and if people are warned that he is a thief, that is truth. Although sometimes the truth is unpalatable, one should not refrain from speaking it. Truthfulness demands that the facts be presented as they are for the benefit of others. That is the definition of truth. Control of senses means that the senses should not be used for unnecessary personal enjoyment. There is no prohibition against knowing the proper needs of senses, but unnecessary sense enjoyment is represented for spiritual advancement. Therefore, the senses should be restrained from unnecessary use. Similarly, one should restrain the mind from unnecessary thoughts. That is called shama. One should not spend one's time pondering over earning money. That is the misuse of thinking power. The mind should be used to understand the prime necessity of human beings, and that should be presented authoritatively. The power of thought should be developed in association with persons who are authorities in the scriptures, saintly persons and spiritual masters, and those whose thinking is highly developed. Sukham, pleasure or happiness, should always be in that which is favorable for the cultivation of spiritual knowledge of Krishna consciousness. And similarly, that which is painful or which causes distress is that which is unfavorable. Sorry. Should sorry. That is which is unfavorable for the cultivation of Krishna consciousness. Anything favorable for the development of Krishna consciousness should be accepted, and anything unfavorable should be rejected. Bhava, birth, should be understood to refer to the body. As far as the soul is concerned, there is neither birth nor death. That we have discussed in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. Birth and death apply to one's embodiment in the material world. Fear is due to worrying about the future. A person in Krishna consciousness has no fear because by his activities he's sure to go back to the spiritual sky, back home, back to Godhead. Therefore, his future is very bright. Others, however, do not know what the future holds. They have no knowledge of what the next life holds. So they are therefore in constant anxiety. If we want to free from anxiety, then the best course is to understand Krishna and be situated always Krishna consciousness. And that way we will be free from all fear. In Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 2nd chapter, 37th verse, it is stated, Bhayam Yudhya Bhinivesh Syat. Fear is caused by our absorption in the illusory energy. But those who are free from the illusory energy, those who are confident that they are not the material body, that they are spiritual parts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and who are therefore engaged in the transcendental surface of the Supreme Godhead, have nothing to fear. Their future is very bright because fear is a condition of persons who are not in Krishna consciousness. Abhayam, fearlessness, is possible only for one in Krishna consciousness. Ahimsa, non-violence, means that one should not do anything which will put others into misery or confusion. Material activities that are promised by so many politicians, sociologists, philanthropists, etc., do not produce very good results because the politicians and philanthropists have no transcendental vision. They do not know what is actually beneficial for human society. Ahimsa means that people should be trained in such a way that the full utilization of human body can be achieved. The human body is meant for spiritual realization. So any movement or any permissions which do not further that end commit violence on the human body. That which furthers the future spiritual happiness of the people in general is called non-violence. Samatha, equanimity, refers to freedom from attachment and aversion. To be very much attached to or to be very much detached is not the best. The material world should be accepted without attachment or aversion. That which is favorable for prosecuting Krishna consciousness should be accepted. That which is unfavorable should be rejected. That is called samatha, equanimity. A person in Krishna consciousness has nothing to reject and nothing to accept, save in terms of its usefulness in the prosecution of Krishna consciousness. Tushti, satisfaction, means that one should not be eager to gather more and more material goods by unnecessary activity. One should be satisfied with whatever is obtained by the grace of Supreme Lord, and that is called satisfaction. Tapas means austerity or penance. There are many rules and regulations in the Vedas which apply here, like rising early in the morning and taking a bath. Sometimes it is very troublesome to rise early in the morning, but whatever voluntary trouble one may suffer in this way is called penance. Similarly, there are prescriptions for fasting on certain days of the month. One may not be inclined to practice such fasting, but because of his determination to make advancement in the science of Krishna consciousness, he should accept such bodily troubles when they are recommended. However, one should not fast unnecessarily or against Vedic injunctions. One should not fast for some political purpose. That is described in Bhagavad Gita as fasting in ignorance, and anything done in ignorance or passion does not lead to spiritual advancement. Everything done in the mode of goodness doesn't advance one, and fasting done in terms of Vedic injunctions enriches one in spiritual knowledge. As far as charity is concerned, one should give 50% of his earnings to some good cause. And what is a good cause? It is that which is conducted in terms of Krishna consciousness. That is not only a good cause, but the best cause. Because Krishna is good, his cause is also good. Thus, charity should be given to a person who is engaged in Krishna consciousness. According to the Vedic literature, it is enjoined that charity should be given to the Brahmanas. This practice is still followed, although not very nicely in terms of the Vedic injunction. But still, the injunction is that the charity should be given to the Brahmanas. Why? Because they are engaged in higher cultivation of spiritual knowledge. A Brahmana is supposed to devote his whole life to understanding Brahman. Brahma, Jnana Titi, Brahmana. One who knows Brahman is called a Brahmana. Thus, charity is offered to the Brahmanas because they are always engaged in higher spiritual service and have no time to earn their livelihood. In the Vedic literature, charity is also to be awarded to one in the renounced order of life, the sannyasi. The sannyasis beg from door to door, not for money, but for missionary purposes. The system is that they go from door to awaken the householders from the slumber of ignorance, because the householders are engaged in family affairs and have forgotten their actual purpose in life, awakening their Krishna consciousness. It is the business of the sannyasis to go as beggars to the householders and encourage them to be Krishna conscious. As it is said in the Vedas, one should awake and achieve what is due him in this human form of life. This knowledge and method is described by the sannyasis. Hence, charity is to be given to the renouncer of life, to the brahmanas, and similar good causes, not to any whimsical cause. Yasha, fame, should be according to Lord Chaitanya, who said that a man is famous when he's known as a great devotee. That is real fame. If one has become a great man in Krishna consciousness and it is known, then he is truly famous. One who does not have such fame is infamous. All these qualities are manifest through the universe in human society and in the society of the demigods. There are many forms of humanity on other planets, and these qualities are there. Now, for one who learns to advance in Krishna consciousness, Krishna creates all these qualities, but the person develops them himself from within. One who engages in the devotional service of Supreme Lord develops all the good qualities as arranged by the Supreme Lord. Of whatever we find, good or bad, the origin is Krishna. Nothing can manifest itself in this material world which is not in Krishna. That is knowledge. Although we know that things are differently situated, and we should realize that everything flows from Krishna. Hare Krishna.
So Prabhupada has covered definitions of each and every word that is spoken in this verse. So Krishna is, after speaking all that, that the origin of the knowledge and the persons who are situated, he's speaking about all the things that one has to be known are the various qualities of the living beings are created by him alone, like intelligence, knowledge, freedom from doubt, delusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, control of the senses, control of the mind, happiness, distress, birth, fear, fearlessness, equanimity, non-violence, satisfaction, austerity, charity, fame, and infamy. And proper definitions for some of them are very nice. Most of the things are straightforward, but I would like to speak about two things, which is about non-violence. Prabhupada speaks, non-violence is usually, what would you think as non-violence? When we don't cause distress to other living entities, right? Non-violence is not to trouble other living entities. That is what we were taught from the childhood in our books, in our studies, in the school. But the actual non-violence is when we don't give an opportunity for the soul to awaken to their Krishna consciousness. And if you have that means and you are not doing that, that is non-violence. That is a purport in this whatever we learned. Non-violence is when we don't give opportunity or encourage others. First of all, we need to encourage that within ourselves and also do that to the others. If we don't do that, then we are committing non-violence on the other living entities. Fame. Fame is when a person has been known as a good devotee of the Lord. If that is called fame, as per Prabhupada's definition. And infamy is opposite to that. Infamy is if you don't be called as a good devotee, then you are already infamous. So in today's definition, famous is one who's got greater health, good power in the society, can exert power on a lot of people and a lot of countries. That is fame. And infamous is, there is nothing like infamous in this world anymore, right? Everything it becomes fame. Even an infamous man, what he gets is fame only. That is, infamy is also fame. But infamy is when you are not a devotee of the Lord. If you are known that, oh, he is not a devotee of the Lord, that's infamy. So these are the various qualities that come of the living entities, are created by the Lord alone. Because what is there other than the Lord, right? Everything is from him. So he's spoken about the sages who are undiluted, and now he's going to speak about the qualities. Now he's going to speak more about the sages also, more sages coming. And finally, he'll speak about the next section, which is like 7th and 8th we still have to cover here. We are at 4 and 5, 6th and 7th we have to complete before we move to that. So he's setting the stage to speak about his opulence. These are his opulences only in one sense, right? The qualities are everything is coming from him. Yes, Debbie, you have a question?
Hare Krishna Mataji. For infamy, if someone has bad reputation, wouldn't that be they're infamous? Like in the example in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna refused to fight, the Lord gave him the example that he'll be known as a coward. So his reputation as a good fighter will go down. So that was an example of infamy. So there are individuals that were celebrated individuals that are not non-devotees, but I would say that they don't have a good reputation. So would that be infamy in that sense then?
Krishna said that, right? It is, you will become infamous. As a Kshatriya, you are supposed to fight. But if you run away from the battle, that is infamy, is as good as death for a Kshatriya.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about Prabhupada's definitions. What Prabhupada has elaborated in the purport. Infamy is other than a devotee is infamy. And ordinarily, we know what is infamy. There's nothing infamy in this today's world, right? Everything becomes like, if they make it like a selling point for them, which adds to their, they are very infamous people, but everything is turned around, and that becomes, because everything goes these days by the clicks, number of clicks. Even if he is infamous, you read about him, he's getting famous by the number of, because that's the measurement of fame. How many times this particular website has been clicked, and how many people have viewed it. That is the measure of fame these days, right? It's nothing to do with anything in the scriptures. Today's world defines the famous, someone being famous is number of clicks, number of likes, number of shares on the website. So where is the definition? The actual definition is when you are a devotee of the Lord, and otherwise you are in fame.
Thank you.
Anything else? Any questions? I'm surprised there are no questions today. We're going faster. Yes, Prabhu?
Actually, Mataji, in the sloka number 3, there is a word saying that all demigods were created within this material world. But as far as Krishna is concerned, it is said that he is not created, therefore Krishna is different from even from all these great demigods like Shiva and Brahma. So Shiva and Brahma are material nature, or they are spiritual nature?
Brahma is created in this material world. In the beginning, we have gone through that at various times when we talk about the duration in the 8th chapter.
Yeah, correct.
Brahma
Yeah.
is created in the material. This is the material world, this universe, comprising of the devatas.
So this is the world, means the total universe, right? Okay.
Universe, exactly.
Okay.
This universe, there is birth, death, old age. And Prabhu Krishna gives the example of this universe only, even in the Abrahma Bhuvana Loka, Punaravartino Arjuna, he says, right? Even in the Brahma's planet, which has got how many years? 312 human calculations, human years. They live for 100 years at the max, that's a max. 312 trillion. How many zeros after one? You can imagine, maybe 14, 15 zeros.
Yep.
So those many years Brahma lives. Still there is death for him from our calculation. But in that lifetime, we would have lived and died for about millions of years by then. Because 312 years becomes a lot of years, right? By human lifetimes, right? Even in that stage, there is death, birth. Because Brahma took birth, is Aja also in one sense, because he came up from the womb on the
The
navel, right? So in one sense is Aja, but there is a source for his for being born, which is the Lord's navel.
Yes.
Karanodakshay Vishnu, Garbhodakshay Vishnu's navel. So that is his place of birth. So for him also there is death. He will also die. He is also subjected to birth, death. He was born and he is subjected to death. We may not know about his sickness and old age, but these two things are there. So these are all material things. This is the material also. Even up until the stage of Brahmaloka is all material. And Shiva is also part of it. So Shiva is a different category. Brahma is a marginal, like he's a living entity. He's a supreme, topmost living entity, super intelligent living entity, because he is the creator of this universe, right? Shiva is a different category. He's Shiva Tattva himself. He is in the spiritual world also as Sadashiva. And his manifestation comes into this world as Shiva, and he exists, and his role comes into the picture when the pralaya happens, annihilation, dissolution of the universe. He and his ribus, who are his childs or his manifestations, they partake in the annihilation, destruction, total devastation of this universe. So this universe will be subjected to dissolution also. That means it is temporary in that sense. So
Got it.
they are all part of this world, Brahma and Shiva. This Shiva. But there
Okay.
are other Shiva. The Shiva who is in the spiritual world is Sadashiva, is eternal, is Mahavishnu, is Vishnu Tattva category.
Thank you, Mataji.
Any other?
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yes.
If Sadashiva is in the spiritual world, is there just only one Sadashiva? Like Brahma, there's multiples. Each universe has a different Brahma. But there's only one Sadashiv.
No, Shiva, Sadashiva is one, but Shiva's manifestations happens in this material world in the 9 other places, different places. So one manifestation that we have is in Kailash and various other places that I am not really aware. But Sadashiva is in the spiritual world. He is as untouched. He's eternally there. He is Vishnu in the form of Shiva. He is Vishnu Tattva in Sadashiva Loka.
Thank you.
Shiva category is a unique category. Brahma and all others are the living entities. Shiva is his own categories, Shiva Tattva. That's why it says, to understand Shiva is very hard. Because it's Vishnu only who manifests as Shiva. Because in the material world, your goodness cannot. Anybody else? Hare Krishna? Are you speaking? Is anyone speaking? I can't hear. Okay. In the material world, Vishnu is pure goodness. He cannot touch. I mean, for something of pure goodness to act in the material world, it needs to be tinged. Because pure goodness has no place in this, like pure, Shuddha Sattva. Mahavishnu is in Shuddha Sattva category. So for this world to operate, because there are modes, right? 3 modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance. This is not pure goodness when we speak about goodness. That goodness is tinged with goodness, has got some qualities or aspects, which is being learned, being happy, being, those are the qualities of goodness. So they are also tinged. They are not completely pure. So, and Shiva, and for the material manifestation to move, these modes become activated over time, and that agency through which this happens is Shiva. Right? So he transforms, because there's nothing that is beyond the Lord in this material world or anywhere else. So Krishna or Krishna's agents have to act it to move, to operate, to function. So Vishnu comes in the form of Shiva and helps it to manifest. So in that sense, he is also covered with some modes, just like milk and milk product, yogurt. Milk is pure, which is Vishnu, and for it to become yogurt, it needs to be added with a agent. Which is that agent? The souring agent. That souring agent is that mode through which it transforms the milk into yogurt. So that yogurt form is Shiva. Milk form is Vishnu. So milk has transformed into yogurt. Source for yogurt is milk, not the other way. So that's how we can see. Shiva's origin is in Vishnu, and Vishnu transforms into Shiva to help manifestation or help the conduction or the functioning of this universe. Yes. Palak? Good question.
Mataji, yes. My question is about that I was reading, so I get these articles from Sankarshan Das Adhikari Prabhuji. So he has this newsletter that comes out every day, and in that one, about 2 days ago, there was this question asked, right? That why do we why do we consider Krishna to be the supreme personality of Godhead and not Vishnu? Or his answer was that Krishna and Vishnu are the same, right? You are doing everything for Vishnu. So my question is that why do we call him Krishna? Because essentially we always refer to Vishnu Tattva. Everybody, it's all the forms of Vishnu have Vishnu Tattva. So why not Vishnu? Why Krishna? So yeah, that's my question.
Oh, you meant to say why is Vishnu not the origin? Is that the question?
Yes, and my understanding is also Krishna is Vishnu. So it's just that we prefer to call him Krishna. That's what my understanding is. Or is that incorrect?
See, we have seen that picture, right? Everything below you have understood the 14 planetary systems which are below, right? So let's talk about the spiritual planets, which is above the Brahma Jyoti. After coverings of the universe and Brahma Jyoti, and then the spiritual planets.
Right.
So the entire spiritual planets are Vaikuntha Lokas, which are Vishnu, residing places for Vishnu. And beyond all that is Goloka Vrindavan, which is the topmost planet, which is in the form of a lotus. That is where Krishna resides. And all these other planets are Vishnu Lokas. Okay, so Krishna is the origin, and these Vishnus, the other Vishnus, are his expansions. So there is the first candle. When you are lighting candles or lighting lamps, you light one first candle or one lamp. From that lamp, you light the other lamps. So there is one origin, and all of them have the same potency of power and light. The warmth, the light is same, all the lamps. But there is one, the beginning. You differentiate like that. Everything else is same. After you lit them up, they're all looking same. But there is one from which everything else came. So that is your Krishna, the beginning.
Right.
This is
Mataji.
stated in Brahma Samhita. Deepachireva dashantaram abhyupetya deepayate vivarta samana bhava.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mataji, can I recite that answer to you? It's just very small, 4 lines, and maybe I'm misunderstanding that. So he says that Krishna is the origin of everything, everyone of everything. He is also known as Vishnu. So we can say that everything comes from Vishnu. And we can also say that everything should be done for Vishnu. And he quotes Srimad Bhagavatam 4th canto. Sometimes Lord Vishnu appears in his person as Lord Krishna or Lord Rama. So we can say that Rama is the avatar of Krishna, or we can also say that he is the avatar of Vishnu. Both are correct. Vishnu Tattva is the category of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna, Rama, and Vishnu are all in the category of Vishnu Tattva. Thus, they are all Vishnus. That is what he says. So this kind of tells me that Krishna is Vishnu, or am I not getting it right?
Krishna is Vishnu, that is clear. Vishnu is Krishna, Krishna is Vishnu. You can interchangeably call them like that. But then there is origin first, the beginning, which is where this lamp example comes. That is Krishna. From him only everything. So you can think like the person at home and the person in office. Person at home is Krishna. Person in office who has his duties to perform, who has a way he has to behave. He has a dress code. His mode of interaction is very formal. He's interacting with all people, and you cannot take him lightly. He's Vishnu. The same person is at home. He has changed his dress. Is very casual, and people take him for granted. They can tease him. They can make fun of him. They will even make him do some work at home. He's the same person in office and home. That person who you are actually connected with your own self is Krishna, who's at home, not in office. In office is very formal, right? Like you behave a certain way within some norms. You don't give away a lot of information. We are very cautious. right?
Mhm.
That is Vishnu. Is the same person. Example. I mean, examples and analogies have a lot of limitations. Okay. Just
Mhm.
understand the essence of it.
Mhm. Right. Thank you.
Text 6. Ramina Mataji, can you repeat?
Mataji, I'm in bus.
You're working?
Yeah, Mataji, I'm in bus. Just going to home.
Okay, no worries. Well, sister.
Okay.
Vivek Prabhu. Maharshaya Saptapurve
Mahashya Saptapurve
Chatvaro Manavastata
Chatvaro Manavasat Tata
Madbhava Manasa Jata
Adbhava Mansa Jata
Esham Loka Ima Prajaha.
Esham Lokayam Praja.
The 7 great sages, and before them the 4 other great sages and the Manus, progenitors of mankind, came from me. Born from my mind, and all the living beings populating the various planets descend from them. Please read the purport, small purport.
Purport: the Lord is giving genealogical synopsis of the universal population. Brahma is the original creature born out of the energy of the Supreme Lord, who is known as Hiranyagarbha. And from Brahma, all the 7 great sages, and before them, 4 other great sages named Shanaka, Sanatana, Santana, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumara, and the 14 Manus are manifested. All these 25 great sages are known as the Parichas, the living entities all over the universe. There are innumerable universes and innumerable planets within each universe, and each planet is full of population of different varieties. All of them are born of these 25 Parichyas. Brahma underwent penance for 1000 years of the demigod before he realized by the grace of Krishna how to create. Then from Brahma came Sanaka, Sanada, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumara. Then Rudra, then the 7 sages, and in this way, all the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas are born out of the initial Supreme Personality Godhead. Brahma is known as Pitamaha, the grandfather, and Krishna is known as Parampita, the father of the grandfather. That is stated in the 11th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam 11.39.
So in this verse, Krishna speaks about the 7 great sages, the 4 Manus, and the 4 sages, and the Manus are born from my mind, and the living entities are all populating from them. So we have seen in the 8th chapter also, in the purports, Prabhupada speaks about the day of Manu, the day of Brahma. A day of Brahma is also called as Kalpa. Within that Kalpa, there are how many Manus that come?
14?
14. There are 14 Manus that come in one day of Brahma. That is in 12 hours. And in the night time, he sleeps. Right? So 12, 24 hours. So in his daytime, in 12 hours, 14 Manus come. One Manu's lifetime is 72 Yuga cycles. One Yuga cycle is the 4 Chatur Yugas combined together is 1 Yuga cycle. Or what is that?
Divya Yuga.
Divya Yuga. So 4 Yugas, Satya, Treta, Dwapara, Kali Yuga combinedly together is called 1 Divya Yuga. So out of those 1000 such Divya Yugas make 1 day of Brahma. And within that 1 day of Brahma, 14 Manus come, and each one live for 72 such Divya Yugas. So you can divide 72 times 14, which comes to 990 something, which is equal to 1000, almost equal. So that is the day. So in the beginning, in the first day of Brahma, which is the first Kalpa, Brahma created first. Who did he create? He created first 4 Kumaras. These are the 4 Kumaras: Sanat, Sanatan, Sanandan, and Sant Kumaras. He created them, and then they came out and said, we are going away. We are not going to do any progenation and none of that business because we don't want to get entangled. So they go away. After that comes, Brahma gets a little upset. From him comes Rudra. Rudra comes from his forehead. And that is the Rudra, Shiva. And he starts to dance and many more. Then he says, no, you create. As soon as he tells Rudras to create, the Rudras start creating into Rubus. Those are his expansions. And they all start to annihilate. Their function is to annihilate. They are not supposed to be now in the beginning of creation. They need to come at the end of the dissolution. But because their function is to dissolute, they start to dissolve. They attack Brahma also. Brahma says, no, your work is not now. I am right now creating. You come back when there is dissolution happening. That is long time later. So then he tells them to go reside in some places. So they go away. And Brahma and Shiva is meditating. Then he creates Swayambhuva Manu. And from his body, Brahma's body only, Swayambhuva Manu and Shatarupa, his wife, they both come out. And from his body, those are the Manus, the progenitors of mankind. This is the first Brahma I'm talking about, Swayambhuva Manu. Like that, we have 14 Manus throughout the day of Brahma. I'm talking only about the first Manu. We are in the 7th Manu category. So 6 Manus have passed. Now we are in the 7th Manu of the one day of Brahma. Okay. So whenever there is a change in Manus, few people come along with them. One is the Manus itself, the Manu, and Manuputras, their sons, the 7 sages. They come, and Indra is there, and Krishna manifests in some form in that time. So during the time of whenever there is a change in the Manu comes along with Manuputras. There is some, because they need to start future Manus. So they will have their own sons. So Manu, Manuputra, the 7 sages, and Indra, Surendra, and the expansion of the Lord, who is the deity, presiding deity during that reign of that Manu. Okay. So in this 7th Manu of our time, the deity of Aditya is the Diti's children. That is a manifestation of the Vishnu form. That is Vamandev, that came in the 7th Yuga. 7th Manvantar. Okay, there's a lot of information. You don't have to take everything here. But in this verse, Krishna speaks about the 7 sages. So the 7 sages also are there at every time a Manu is coming into being. So the 7 sages are helping in the universal creation, progeny, functioning of the universes. Because they are the sages, they give their knowledge to the people who are coming up. So the 7 sages that we know, the 7 stars that you see in the sky, these are 7 stars. You see, those names are very familiar to most of the people. Anybody knows? I can show some names. Kapila, Vashishta,
Is Agastya one of them?
Agastya, Bharadvaja, maybe. Like that, 7 sages. Maybe someone can do some research and put that in our chat. So we
just say that Saptarishis.
Saptarishis, exactly. Those Saptarishis are there every yuga, in every progenation of the Manu. So because they are the brains, they give the knowledge to the people how to function, because they are the pure devotees of the Lord. Saptarishis, they are also there. Their kundas there in Haridwar. Saptarishi, if you go to Haridwar, you can see their ashrams, the Rishi ashrams. So, right. So, those rishis and the 4 sages, Krishna is saying, I have produced all of them. 7 sages, Kumaras, Manus, they are all coming from my mind. Because they are all coming from Brahma. Brahma is come from Vishnu, Krishna, right? So, he is the creator of the creators, basically. Krishna is the creator of the creators. So, origin is Krishna. That's why he's saying they are all my mind sons. Manasa Putras. They're coming from my mind and they are all populating the various planets. So that's this verse. Then he speaks about last verse for this today's discussion. Hema Mataji, can you recite?
Yes, Mataji.
Etam vibhutim yogam cha
Etam vibhutim yogam cha
mama yo vetti tatvataha
mama yo veti tattvataha
so vikalpena yogena
so vikalpena yogena
yujyate natra samshayaha.
yujyate natra samsayaha.
One who is factually convinced of this opulence and mystic power of mind engages in unalloyed devotional service. Of this there is no doubt. Mataji, can you read short purport?
Yes, Mataji. The highest summit of spiritual perfection is knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Unless one is firmly convinced of the different opulences of the Supreme Lord, he cannot engage in devotional service. Generally, people know that God is great, but they do not know in detail how God is great. Here are the details. If one knows factually how God is great, then naturally he becomes a surrendered soul and engages himself in the devotional service of the Lord. When one factually knows the opulences of the Supreme, there is no alternative but to surrender to Him. This is factual knowledge, can be known from the description in Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita and similar literatures. In the administration of this universe, there are many demigods distributed throughout the planetary system, and the chief of them are Brahma, Lord Shiva, and the four great Kumaras and the other Patriyachas. There are many forefathers of the populations for the universe, and all of them are born of the Supreme Lord Krishna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is the original forefather of all forefathers. These are some of the opulences of the Supreme Lord. When one is firmly convinced of them, he accepts Krishna with great faith and without any doubt, and he engages in devotional service. All this particular knowledge is required in order to increase one's interest in the loving devotional service of the Lord. One should not neglect to understand fully how great Krishna is, for by knowing the greatness of Krishna, one will be able to fix it in sincere devotional service.
The last verse. One who is factually convinced of this opulence and mystic power of mind engages in unalloyed devotional service and others this. So Krishna is saying, to know about me, you need to know about my greatness. Many people say, Prabhupada quotes, that people know that God is great, but we need to know how great is God. Otherwise, how will we know what do you mean by God is great? God is great. Yeah, fine. But we need to also know the science of his greatness. And this knowledge is helping us to understand how great he is by knowing his opulences, his powers. And what is the origin of all this universe, how it has started, who are all the people behind this universe. And how it is even for them, Krishna is unknowable unless you approach him with the heart, which is surrendered in the devotional service. If you go with the mind which is about the showing off your knowledge about him, then you only go to the impersonal aspect as much as that far you can get, not beyond that. But to go to Krishna, we need bhakti, devotion. So this is what he's saying. So once you know the opulence in which I am situated, then you will do devotional service. So for the heart to churn, you need to know the qualities behind it. So that's what he's saying. And one other thing Prabhupada quotes here is, even the Bhagavad Gita is giving lot of opulent information, opulences about Krishna, even the Bhakti section. That is because it is needed. Otherwise, we will not know his sweetness. Even the 10th canto is in the 10th canto, where Krishna's pastimes of Vrindavan, Mathura, and Dwarka are written, are in the 10th canto, not in the first canto. To know sweetness of Krishna, you need to know the greatness of Krishna before, which is all those 9 cantos. Srimad Bhagavata. So only then you'll appreciate Krishna's sweetness. Otherwise, you will think he's an ordinary person. By doing this, like gopis and gopas are beating him, then everyone there's a danger of thinking he's an ordinary person. If you don't know what is his origin, what are his greatness, what are his strengths, how he has created the universe, what is his position, how devotees are praying to him, different great devotees are praying to him under extraordinary conditions, like Gajendra, it's an extraordinary story. Vritrasura is an extraordinary story. These are that is a demon, Vritrasura. He is praying to the Lord, beautiful prayers. Where can a demon pray? Where can an elephant pray to the Lord? Unless he has been given that mercy. He gets a remembrance. He was a king, what is his name? King Indradumna in the previous life. Then, however, by some reason, he becomes Gajendra. Gajendra is fighting the crocodile for 1000 years of Devata years, 1000 Devata years. It's a long time. He's lost all his strength, no strength, because he's in water, which is not his natural habitat. Crocodile is his natural habitat is water, and crocodile has strength. Gajendra lost his strength, almost, about to give up. Then he remembered his previous life devotional activities that he did as king in the dunya. Then he offered the prayers. Where in the world will have that? So these are extraordinary, convincing that things can happen if you have devotion, right? So this is, we need to know that before you come to the 10th chapter, 10th canto, where it is only about Krishna's lifting Govardhan hill. We'll not have faith unless we read about all this from prior chapters, prior cantos. So that's why it's important to even know, to know bhakti, we need to know Krishna's opulence. That's why this chapter and this purport, what we are hearing. The highest summit of spiritual perfection is knowledge, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Unless one is firmly convinced of the different opulence of Supreme Lord, he cannot engage in devotional service. So this is a fact. We need to know about his greatness, because unless for that, we will not be able to surrender to him. Because that's our mindset. Unless, but there are stories of devotees who have surrendered to, even knowledge is the important thing to know about Krishna. But in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we have a story of a Brahmana who was in Kurmakshetra when Lord Chaitanya was traveling South India trip. He came across this Brahmana in Srirangam, not in Kurma. Came across this Brahmana who was reading Bhagavad Gita and he was tearing up, was crying. And Chaitanya, and there are other people, other Brahmanas sitting in another place in little distance from him, and they are reciting Vedas. They are reciting in nice language, and their pronunciation is good and everything is there, reciting, and they're in their association. And this Brahmana who has his Bhagavad Gita almost on his lap, doesn't know much to read, and is tearing up. And Mahaprabhu comes there. Why are you crying? He asks him. I don't know anything about this book, although my co-Brahmanas tease me that I don't know anything, but I'm just reading this Bhagavad Gita, trying to read. But whenever I read, I only get tears in my eye. Why? Because I see Krishna's acting as a chariot driver to Arjuna, and looking at that and thinking about that, my mind is overwhelmed and my heart becomes so moved that I cannot stop myself from crying. Because Krishna can take a position of a chariot driver to someone like Arjuna, his friend. That means how great is Krishna. Then Mahaprabhu says, yes, you have understood the purport. You might not know each and every lines from the, like the reading it, pronouncing it, learn the Vedas like that, but you understood the essence of it. So if we are in that category, then we don't have to read. If we are not, then we need to read. Mahaprabhu says, you have understood, you don't have to read Bhagavad Gita in that way. However you are reading, it is good because you have understood the essence. The essence of Bhagavad Gita is to know Krishna. That's what he says. So, but for most of us, we have to read, we have to understand that. Was there any question that I missed? Okay. I'm surprised today there are a lot of questions. I went a lot speaking, but not much interrupted by questions. I don't know. The subject is going over the head? Or is it you have gotten used to it?
Hare Krishna Mataji. This is not a question actually. For all the devotees, like I've been sharing slokas for recitation. So I think more or less all the devotees catch up all the slokas. So you want me to keep sharing those slokas for practice, or shall I stop it?
Up to devotees, if they want.
That's why I'm just asking all the devotees if they want me to keep sharing those.
Yes, Prabhuji, please go ahead.
Yes, please. Yes.
Please share. Yeah.
Yeah, keep sharing.
The slokas for recitation, right? For the practice, for a reminder of the slokas. What? Okay.
Yes.
The homework so far, any
If nobody have any question, I have not a question. Just I need some more help to. For sure, like it's impossible for us to understand the origin of Krishna. He never disclosed anywhere in he never spoke about it, and unless he speak, we'll never know. And even the Shastras will never, not reveal anything to us. But often we come across a question like this when we talk. What is the origin? Krishna says we are there, like we never created, and like we are eternal existing, each of us. And so as Krishna, but often we come across this question, because we are relatively, we see like how we appeared in this material world through our parents. So often, what is, I just also want to hear from you, you also would have come across this question. So how to explain to maybe a new person, or even the existing devotees, or if you can shed some light, that would be helpful.
I didn't quite get the question, Prabhu. Can you repeat the question?
The question is we often question what is the origin of Krishna? Like Krishna is the creator of everything, and who created Krishna, or how Krishna
manifested. So that is the inconceivable thing about Krishna, is he's eternally existing. He's Swayambhu. Is existing like that. Is Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir. Anadir means there's no beginning to him. There's no origin to him. Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. There is a cause of all causes. So there's no cause for him to exist. He's beginningless, he's endless, his origin. So these are some of the scriptural evidences we can take to understand Krishna with our tiny brains. But that's what it is, his position. That is what is his position. So that's why he wants to associate with his devotees, to give them the pleasure of having him as his son. Because he doesn't have anybody above him. And he gives that power or that thing to his devotees. They can take control over him. We have that exchange as mother, as father, as friends, as lovers. Because there's nothing beyond that. But Krishna is a person with a lot of emotions and a lot of feelings and heart. So he wants to exchange that. So he gives it to his devotees who are his devotees, who are coming to him in that mood. So he becomes son, he becomes a friend, he becomes a lover, like that. There's nothing beyond him. Right? This may be sometimes little it might be little overwhelming to hear or understand that fact that there's no beginning to Krishna. That's probably you're experiencing, or some devotees are experiencing and they are asking. But because we have not understood the depth of that, we probably don't have to go deeper into that at this point. We can understand these verses from Brahma Samhita and other places where devotees are quoting. This Brahma Samhita is quoted by Brahma. He's a devotee of the Lord. He's saying that you are like this. There's no beginning, no end. So we need to take the words as it is. Brahma's words. Because if you read Brahma Samhita and read the translations, he will explain clearly. You can do that. Brahma Samhita is all about explaining about the spiritual world. What is Krishna's position and explaining how he manifests. Even though he doesn't need to have that, he expands and comes with these gopis so that they can have an exchange with him. Does that make sense, Prabhu?
Thank you, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu, Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji, in the purport of 7th verse, it is saying that generally people know that God is great, but they do not know the details of how God is great. Here are the details. If one knows factually how God is great, then naturally he becomes a surrendered soul and engage himself in devotional service. This looks like in a small police station, a new inspector comes in, he's very strict, and all the police are like, oh, he's very strict, I have to be very obedient and I have to be doing right everything, nothing, no bribery, no nothing wrongdoing, I have to be very straight, like obedient to this guy. It's like the God is so great, you should just surrender unto him, fall under him, don't ask any question. That kind of a threatening kind of thing, is that what somebody may think if we read like saying that he's most powerful, so you just can't resist him, just surrender unto him.
If you approach him like that, he will give you in that way. But that's not what he's telling. You can approach me as a friend. I will reciprocate to you as friend. If you approach me like you're scared of me, fine. Because you have independence. That minor independence is with you. If you approach him in that way, okay, I'll accept this because I'll accept your emotion and I'll display myself to that extent only to you. If you approach me as your friend, I will display myself as a friend. Similarly, so on. So this is how Eyathamam prapadyante. Tam sasayama bhajami. Mama vattamanu vattante manusya partha sakasha. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita is all principles. Bhagavad Gita is all principles. The principles get expanded in Bhagavatam. Every theory that we learn from every story or every situation we learn, we can apply the root of that from Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita is principles. This is Vedanta Sutras. Sutra, it's nothing but like, principles. Krishna said, Yatham prapadyante, means I will respond to you however you approach me. How this happens in different stories that we see. Please, Shalini.
I have a question, but it's not related to Bhagavad Gita. I have a question related to Bhagavatam. Is it okay to ask here, or I can ask you offline?
We are done with the class, so we can maybe stay back and go to that. Let me stop. Thank you very much. Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kapasindhubhyasya pattanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo Deputy Vaishnava Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.